Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be. My name is John Bowman, and I will be your instructor this semester in HUM 122 that runs from September until December. This is your opening video. It's very important that you watch all of the information in this video because it will walk you through some of the basic assignments that we're going to be doing throughout the entire semester, and it will give you an overview of exactly how I will be communicating with you throughout the entire course. I don't want to waste your time because I know that your time is valuable, so I'm going to just jump right in. This is the course as you can see it when you first log in. You're probably accessing this video through the announcements, which would be navigated to you over here. When you get into the course, make sure that you walk through all the course information here at the top. You cannot access the rest of the course until you've examined this information. And that's important anyway, because this is one of the standards that Stanley Community College uses to make sure that you have all the information you need on things like COVID and, that you give a general introduction, which marks your entrance into the course. So the introductory forum, make sure that you participate in that. I've set a due date for this week for this particular assignment. Once you get done with this, you'll have access to the rest of the course. The only thing that you can actually access right now, because I've locked the rest of it until next week and the weeks thereafter, would be right here at the top, General Introduction to Culture. You have two sections in each one of the modules. One is the information. You can look at all of this information. You should do the reading. You must do the reading. But you can use the lecture. You can kind of look at the slides that I would use traditionally in a classroom setting. You can go to the video lectures. In fact, I would very strongly encourage you to go and watch this video lecture this very first week because it contains a lot of information that you're going to need. But by the way, a lot of that information is not contained inside the textbooks themselves, so make sure that you are participating when I share a video because the video is always important. And then I, in some cases, give you access to podcasts. You'll see some of those start to pop up as we move forward. Since it's a 12-week class, some of the weeks are a little bit more condensed than others. So, for example, when we get into the agrarian tradition, this contains roughly something like a week and a half of materials, but I'll try to make sure that I pace it appropriately. I don't have necessarily a week and a half of assignments. They're just more heavily weighted, so pay attention to that as well. Okay, your first journal ties directly into the very first topic, which is, again, this video right here. I'm going to describe the journals and the explorations in just a second, but again, make sure that you're paying attention. You have a reading quiz that's due. You need to make your author or book choice because that's your final project in the entire course. And then once you have that done, you've finished the first module. You'll be ready for the second module. I will be opening up new modules and giving you communication on Wednesday of every single week. That gives you 8 days to get through all of the assignments because your assignments are always due in my class on Thursdays at 5 p.m. I set it at Thursday at 5 p.m. because that way if you have questions, you're not asking me. I know some instructors do midnight. I don't like to do midnight because what happens is my email starts exploding at about 11 p.m. And I'm not going to be awake, and I'm not even going to try to stay awake to answer your questions at 11 p.m. It's just I'm asleep at that time. So I set it to 5 p.m. so that way if you have questions, you can ask me those questions. But that gives you, again, 8 days. I do it this way. I don't like to just open everything up because what I found is that students will just scramble through everything and not look at the feedback. So they'll try to do all the explorations or all the journals, and then they'll have messed up all the explorations or all the journals. So rather than doing that, again, I try to pace you as you move through the semester. Let's jump over here to the syllabus because I want to give you some basic information. This is the way in which you can get in contact with me. This is my email address right here. I will be providing Zoom opportunities if you want to use those Zoom opportunities. If you ever need to speak to me, I do actually prefer using Zoom at this point because then I can show you the class and say, hey, here's the thing that you're missing or something like that. I also have provided, that's my office phone number. If you call that phone number and leave a message, it will go straight to my my email and I'll receive that message. But right here, this is, that's my phone. That's my actual phone. I've been giving out this phone number for years now. And I, knock on wood, haven't had a problem with that yet. But, maybe if I ever do, what I'll do is I'll just block the number and report it to the college. But again, knock on wood, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been giving out that phone number for 10 years. Everything's still okay. If you have a quick question, text it to me. This is not, just, I'm just going to call them all the time. I don't answer numbers I don't know. It's just good policy, especially during political season. But again, just text that question to me. Do it during reasonable hours. I would count that as between 8 a.m. and something like 9 p.m. Okay, if you text me outside of those hours, I'm not going to respond. I'm not getting up in the middle of the night to respond to your question. And if you text me and I don't immediately respond, don't blow my phone up, okay? I know the COVID thing's going on right now, but I always give this hypothetical. If I'm in a movie and I paid to be in that movie, I'm not leaving the movie to answer your text, okay? Your text can wait until I'm done with the movie. So, have a little patience. If I don't respond to you, I will always respond to you at least by the next day. So if you text me on like Thursday night or something, I don't respond until Friday morning, that's, just be patient. But plan ahead. Texting me or emailing me or something like that at 4:55 when, again, the assignment is due at 5 and saying, hey, I'm stuck. I really need help. You set yourself up for failure. I hate to say it that way, but you set yourself up for failure. I can't promise that I'm just going to be sitting at my keyboard like I have to, so again, be aware of that. Okay, you do have two textbooks. You have a larger textbook, which is like a history textbook, and you have a smaller textbook, which is a textbook of short stories. When you have reading inside of the smaller textbook, I will always list it by the author, and then you can just use the table of contents. That's the word I'm trying to think of. The table of contents to go and find the reading that you need. So, for example, the first reading in this textbook will be Faulkner, William Faulkner, and that will be in the writer section. Up here, this will always be listed as just the page numbers because, again, if I need it to be in this book, it will be GUITS, Growing Up in the South, and then it will have the author's name. I'm going to skip past the rest of it. It's just pretty straightforward, standard syllabus stuff. I will note this right here. I will treat you like an adult, and that means that if you need an exception made, like I just can't make the 5 p.m., my kid is sick or something like that. I understand. I'm a parent. I get it. But you need to contact me like as soon as possible. And just, it's the same thing as a job. That's what I tell students every single semester. If you don't show up for your job, you're going to get fired. If you don't do your work and you don't communicate with me, I'm going to treat you like an adult. I assume that if you don't do your work, it's just a 0. And so I'm not chasing after you. I'm not going to email you and try to make you feel bad or anything like that. It's just a 0. As an adult, I assume that you know that if you don't communicate with me and don't hand in that work, that's the consequence. I've given you all those ways to communicate with me, and I pride myself on trying to work with students every single semester, but I can only work with you if I know ahead of time. Okay? If you're communicating with me 3 days later, that's a 3-day late penalty. Okay? Because it's just not fair to the other students to do anything but that. So again, I will treat you like an adult as long as you're behaving like an adult and trying to interact with me and be upfront about these sorts of situations. By all means, like I want you to succeed. I promise I want you to succeed. All right, academic dishonesty. I haven't said yet, but my background is I'm an English instructor. So I teach a lot of other English classes here at the college. My background is actually in linguistics, so I really like talking about language. But as an English instructor, I really concentrate on the issue of plagiarism. Just don't plagiarize. Right? Just do the original work. Don't try to copy somebody else. I hate awarding 0s for something like that, but I say it every single semester. So just don't plagiarize. Don't cheat. Right? With that in mind, you do have quizzes. They are open book. Right? The exams are open book as well. You have plenty of opportunities. As long as you're doing the reading and you're listening to the podcast and watching the videos, you should do fine in this class. There's no reason for you to not do fine. That's not to say it's easy. It's not easy, but you should do fine. All right, so late work, 10 points off per 24-hour period. Something's not handed in. So, 5:01 on Thursday, 10 points off. 5:01 on Friday, 20 points off. Saturday, 30. And I don't accept work that's more than 5 days late. Okay, because it's not worth your time or my time because you're going to get more than 50 points off. So that's my late work penalty. I do enforce that throughout the entire semester. Again, unless an exception is made ahead of time. Down here at the bottom. That's why I said it's really important to watch this video. There's a lot to cover. Down here at the bottom, this is your course summary. It contains all of your due dates. You can see straight down the line there. Every single Thursday you have something due, with the exception of Thanksgiving holiday, which I skipped. And then, moving on toward the very beginning of December, you of course have your second exam due there. Okay? All right, that's an overview of the course. Last thing I want to talk about is I want to come back over here to the modules. I want to look at the assignments. Now, there are two main assignment types. That I want to describe in brief. First is would be the journals. The journals themselves are public responses to prompts that I have set, and you do have to respond to other students. That information is contained inside each one of the journals as a general reminder, but also you must do it in at least 350 words. Okay, these are opportunities for you to exchange ideas with other students, and they're on important topics, things like gender, things like race. The very first one is it asks you to examine a culture outside of North America. And North America, by the way, includes Canada and Mexico, so don't do those cultures. I'm running another HUM class right now, and the students that just skipped that part did very poorly on that assignment because I do tend to enforce that. So these are public responses about important ideas, and they give you a chance to listen to other people. One of the philosophies that I bring to this class is that I'm one person, and this is an entire culture and an entire history. So I can teach you everything that's inside of my experience. But I always give the example, I've been married to my wife for 10 years, and I've been listening to her, share like, this is what it's like to be a woman. And she's, talked about that, but I still don't quite know. But I can better appreciate it because I have listened to her, right? So if you're a man, listen to a woman. If you're black, listen to a white person. If you're white, listen to a black person. If you're young, listen to an old person. If you're old, listen to a young person. You learn by listening to people outside of your demographic, right? And so I can only sit here and tell you as a white male, here are the things I know, right? Here are the things I've heard about and that I've come to appreciate over the years from listening to people talk about this stuff. But then there's a whole range of things I don't know as well. And so, again, by interacting with these journals, other people on the boards, that's how you're going to also be able to learn. That philosophy of mine that carries us to the explorations, because that is exactly where that philosophy really plays out. The explorations are private responses of 300 words, and they are an interview with someone else. Okay, you're going to pick one or two of these questions. There are 30 questions in total. You have 4 explorations in total. You're never going to use all these questions, but pick one or two to start a conversation. Now, don't say, what does it mean to be Southern? And somebody says, I don't know. And you say, okay, well, I'll just record that. Now I'm done with that question. What is your favorite story about? No, don't do that. Instead, okay, why don't you know? Well, what don't you know? Here are some things that we talked about in my culture class. What did they make you think? Here's the thought experiment with John Boy and Pierre, right? Which will make sense when you watch the other video. Here's the thought experiment. What do you think of that? And start a conversation. When you do these, there are 2 main things you're going to do with the explorations. I'm going to back up to the very first exploration assignment so you can see this. There are 2 main things you're going to do, okay? And I've given you a template, so you get everything you need here. And I'll make sure that I adjust that total on the template. But first, summarize. I don't need a recording of this. I don't need an audio or video recording of this. I just need you to tell me briefly what that interview was. Right, just, I talked to my grandfather, and my grandfather and I talked about question number 3, and he said XYZ, right? Okay, great. Now I know who you interviewed and how the interview went. The second part is I want you to connect it to specific course content. That's important. Specific course content, not, oh, the South is, it's got a tradition of religion. Of course it does. You knew that coming into the course, right? So I want you to connect it to something specific. On page 341, the book talks about blah, 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 blah. And I heard that in the interview. That's specific. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Goes back to that philosophy I said before. Everybody can teach you perhaps, something else about the culture more than I can. So go and listen to them. Listen to people outside of, again, of your demographic, young, old, so forth and so on. That's how you're going to learn, right? Now, by the way, you're not correcting people. You're not, don't ask people, why did the American Civil War happen? And they say something wacky like, purple dinosaurs made it happen. Don't say, wait a minute, that's not what we talked about in Southern culture. No, if that's what they say, listen to them. Just listen, record it, say, I think that they're wrong because the book says this. That's what I want you to do, right? Even if you think they're wrong, okay, you're being a cultural anthropologist, and their job is not to judge. It is to record and then to be able to critically think about it. You can respond to it yourself down here at the very bottom in 50 to 100 words, but I can't give you credit for that. The reason I include this part on the template is because I know some students just have so much to say. I understand. I don't blame you a bit, but I can't give you credit for that. This assignment is about you listening to other people and connecting it to the course content. And then this portion down here is just your opportunity to be able to talk about it as well. It's a lot of information. I try to keep this video under 15 minutes, which I'm just able to do. If you have questions, please contact me. We're going to have a great semester, and I look forward to working with you. Okay, see you next Wednesday.